7.6 billion.
Yeah, that is a massive number to start with.
It really is. And I want to put that number right in the center of the table today for you. Specifically, AED 7.6 billion.
Which is just a staggering figure.
Right, and that is the sheer value of the project pipeline that one single developer is planning to launch in Dubai.
And we should clarify that's just by the end of 2026.
Exactly, just by the end of 2026. So welcome to today's Deep Dive. We are looking at QUBE Development today.
And this isn't a government master developer re-announcing some entire massive district.
No, not at all.
This is a private developer aggressively carving out market share right now.
Right. And look, if you follow the UAE property market even casually, you know that announcements happen basically every other Tuesday.
Oh yeah, every week it's a new tower.
Exactly. New tower, best views, ultra luxury living.
It just becomes white noise after a while.
It completely becomes white noise.
Yeah.
But QUBE caught our attention for this deep dive, not just because of that massive pile of cash involved.
Right, the 7.6 billion.
Yeah, but because of the specific vocabulary they are using to actually sell it.
It is really distinct, isn't it?
It really is.
They seem to have stepped away from the usual glitz and glamour pitch that we see on literally every billboard on Shakeside Road.
Yeah, they aren't shouting about gold taps or supercar elevators or whatever the latest gimmick is.
Right.
They are using terms like generational wealth.
Generational wealth, yeah.
And stability. And built to endure.
Which is a fascinating pivot for this market. It feels like they are pitching to a serious asset manager rather than, say, a vacationer looking for a pied-à-terre.
Exactly. So the mission today is to really look at QUBE's portfolio. We've got the source materials on their ELIRE, Arisha, and QUBE's projects.
As well as their corporate philosophy documents on things like timeless design.
Right. And we need to figure out, is this just high-level marketing fluff designed to stand out in a really crowded room?
Or does this signal a genuine maturation in how Dubai real estate is being packaged and sold to you?
Exactly. And we have to view this through the lens of the current market context, right?
Absolutely. The source material we're looking at explicitly references a bullish wave in the Dubai property market right now.
And that context is basically everything.
It is. Because when the market is bullish, everyone builds. You know, everyone wants to capitalize.
Of course.
But when a developer starts talking about endurance during a boom phase, they are trying to signal something specific.
What are they signaling, you think?
That they aren't just here for the quick flip. They are positioning themselves for the decades after the boom has settled.
Well, let's test that endurance claim against the reality of their actual schedule.
Let's do it.
Because when I looked at the stats from the sources, patient is not the first word that came to mind.
No, I would say aggressive is probably much more accurate.
Very aggressive. I mean, we mentioned the 7.6 billion dirhams, but look at the physical footprint.
The scale is massive.
By the end of 2026, QUBE plans to have launched 6 distinct projects.
6 projects.
Across Dubai and Ras Al Khaimah.
In a very tight timeline.
Yeah, that is incredibly fast.
It is. And the sheer volume really backs up that aggressive label. We are looking at a land bank of over 1.1 million square feet.
Which is huge.
It is, but the metric that actually matters here, the one the construction guys really look at, is the gross floor area, the GFA.
Right, and what is the GFA target?
They are aiming for over 3.7 million square feet of built-up area.
3.7 million. That is just a massive amount of concrete to pour in 2 years.
It's an immense amount of logistics.
Yeah.
And honestly, usually when you see a GFA that high with a timeline that short...
Alarm bells start ringing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alarm bells regarding quality. It usually screams that it's just a volume game.
You worry about corners being cut just to get the handover keys distributed on time.
Right. It's the classic quantity over quality trap.
But this is where their corporate philosophy attempts to basically intercept that exact criticism.
They see it coming.
Yeah, they have this phrase right in their About Us section in the sources. Rooted in prosperity and built to endure.
Right. They are acutely aware that in a hot, bullish market, buyers are very wary of rush construction.
So built to endure is essentially their counter-narrative to the quick flip mentality.
Precisely. Historically, in these high-growth phases in Dubai, the game was highly speculative.
You buy off-plan, the value spikes, you sell before the paint is even dry.
Exactly. It's transactional. It's fast. But QUBE is trying to reframe the purchase entirely.
By selling foundations for generational wealth.
Yes.
I really want to dig into that specific term, generational wealth, because in real estate, that is a heavy, heavy promise to make.
It is a massive promise. It implies an asset that doesn't just hold its value, but actually compounds it over decades.
It shifts the entire psychology of the buyer.
Completely. Think about it. If I
Yeah.
sell you a luxury apartment, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about the view, the countertops, maybe the amenities like the pool.
Right. But if I sell you generational wealth, what are you thinking about then?
I'm thinking about my children's inheritance. I'm thinking about a long-term asset class.
Exactly. It suggests QUBE is targeting a buyer who fully intends to hold that property for 10, maybe 20 years.
Which essentially demands a much higher build quality, doesn't it?
It has to.
Because you can't pass down a building that's falling apart in 5 years due to water leaks and bad cladding.
No, you definitely can't. You are putting your entire reputation on the line regarding the longevity of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, the actual bones of the building.
Right, because if you promise a legacy and you deliver leaky pipes, your brand is effectively dead.
Dead in the water.
Well, talk is cheap, even if the brochures are super glossy. I want to see if the actual product matches this legacy pitch they're making.
Let's look at the actual projects.
Yeah, we have data on a few of their upcoming developments from the sources, and what really struck me is how they seem to be segmenting the market.
They definitely aren't just building the same tower 6 times and slapping different names on it.
No, the differentiation is quite sharp.
They are playing completely different notes on the piano.
So let's look at the heavyweight first. ELIRE.
Yes, ELIRE.
This one is in Business Bay, and they've actually brought in LUX to manage it.
Which is a highly significant move. LUX is a well-known global hospitality brand,
So immediately we're playing in the branded residences sector.
which is basically the top of the food pyramid in Dubai real estate right now.
The sources literally call it Dubai's most anticipated branded residence.
A big claim.
Very big. It's slated for completion in 2028. But I want to focus on the numbers here because that's when it gets interesting.
Okay,
The payment plan listed for ELIRE is a 45-55 plan.
right. And for you listening, if you might just look at the total price tag and move on, you really need to stop for a second here.
Because the payment plan matters.
The payment plan is actually the most telling indicator of who this building is actually built for.
Break that down for us. What does 45-55 actually signal in this market?
So a 45-55 plan means that 45% of the total property value is paid during the construction phase.
Right.
And the remaining 55% is due on handover. In the current market, asking for 45% upfront during the build is a relatively heavy ask.
It is very cash intensive. I mean, I've seen some developers offer those crazy 1% monthly plans where you barely pay anything until the very end.
Exactly. Those 1% plans are heavily designed to capture the aspirational buyer.
People stretching their budgets.
Right. But a 45% commitment signals that QUBE is aggressively filtering for serious, highly liquid investors.
They don't want people who are scraping by just to make the monthly payment.
No. They want high net worth individuals who can sustain that cash flow without sweating it at all. It aligns perfectly with the exclusive branding of ELIRE.
It essentially creates a barrier to entry that protects the building's exclusivity in a way.
That's a great way to look at it.
Because you know your neighbors are also people who could comfortably afford that 45% upfront hit.
Correct. And it also stabilizes the building's overall financial profile. You have significantly less risk of default during the construction phase.
Okay, now let's compare that heavy buy-in to their second project from the sources, Arisha Terraces.
Which is a complete 180 in terms of the overall vibe.
It really is. It's located in Studio City.
Right.
And the marketing tag isn't exclusive, it's genuine living.
Genuine living, yeah.
And the completion is earlier too, slated for 2027. But look at the payment plan here. It's 3565.
And that is a crucial adjustment from the 45-505.
Why?
Because asking for 35% during construction is significantly lighter on the buyer's wallet than the 45% at ELIRE.
So who are they targeting with Arisha Terraces then?
This one is clearly for the end user or the mid-tier investor. You know, Studio City is a community hub.
Genuine living implies families.
Families, young professionals, people who actually want to live there, not just park their cash in an asset.
So by lowering that construction phase payment to 35%, they open the door wider.
Exactly. They open it to people who might be relying on a mortgage for that final 65% chunk.
Or who just need to manage their personal cash flow much more carefully.
Right. It's incredibly smart segmentation by QUBE.
So they basically have the suit and tie product in Business Bay with a heavy buy-in.
And the t-shirt and jeans product in Studio City with a much easier entry point.
I like that analogy.
But, and this is the key takeaway here, they are applying that exact same built-to-endure philosophy to both projects.
So they're arguing that generational wealth isn't exclusively for the billionaire class.
Exactly. A solid, well-built family home in Studio City is also a legacy asset if the physical quality actually holds up over time.
Which makes sense. I also noticed a third name in the mix from the sources, QUBE Residences.
Ah, yes, cubics.
Taglined as life without compromise. But the really interesting nugget there was that some of the inventory is already marked as sold out.
Which is the ultimate validation of their strategy.
Is it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can have the best philosophy in the world, the glossiest brochures, but if the market doesn't bite, it's completely useless. Seeing sold-out status on the Cubics units tells us that despite the bullish wave and all the immense competition out there, buyers are actively buying into this specific narrative.
Let's circle back to their location strategy for a minute. We talked about LR being in Business Bay.
Yes.
I feel like every single developer wants a piece of Business Bay right now. Is QUBE just basically following the herd here?
They are following the herd, yes, but for a very specific, highly data-backed reason.
What's the data say?
You have to look at the news section of our source material. It highlights a truly staggering statistic.
Okay.
Business Bay recorded AED $4.5 billion in total sales value in just the second quarter of 2025.
Wait, $4.5 billion in just 3 months?
Just in Q2 alone.
That is massive.
It is. That volume cements it as a top 5 area in the entire city for real estate activity.
Okay, so if you are QUBE and you are planning to launch a massive 7.6 billion dirham pipeline, you definitely don't gamble your flagship project on an unproven district.
Exactly. It is a pure risk mitigation strategy.
Yeah. You place your flagship highest cost product, the branded LUX residence, right where the liquidity is deepest.
You go exactly where the money is already flowing.
It makes perfect sense. It's a very defensive, smart play. But this actually brings me to the core problem I always have with off-plan developments.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
We have the glossy brochures, we have the strategic locations, we have the great generational wealth slogans.
But
the actual building isn't there yet.
right, the classic vaporware problem in real estate.
Exactly. How does a buyer, or honestly, even more importantly, a broker, trust that QUBE is actually going to deliver this masterpiece?
It's the biggest hurdle.
Because every developer says they are the best. Every single developer says they have timeless design.
They do. And trust is basically the only real currency in the off-plan market.
So how does QUBE build that trust before the concrete is even poured?
Well, QUBE seems to be tackling this head-on with their Experience Center.
Right, the Experience Center. The sources describe it as a place where ideas turn into addresses.
A bit poetic for a showroom, is it?
It is very poetic, but
Right.
what is it actually doing?
Well, look past the poetic slogan. The actual function of an Experience Center in this context isn't just to show a potential buyer a really nice kitchen island.
What is it then?
It's primarily a tool for the brokers.
Ah, because I did notice the testimonials in the source material were heavily, heavily skewed toward industry pros.
And that is the absolute tell. One of the testimonials actually called working with QUBE a masterclass in how real estate sales should be done.
Which is definitely not language a normal home buyer uses.
No, not at all. That is pure broker speak.
Masterclass is super high praise from a broker who probably sees, what, 5 different showrooms a week?
Easily. And look at exactly why they said it. The feedback specifically mentions that QUBE equips them with tools, details, and insights.
Right.
And that the sheer quality of the show units and the project planning gives them complete trust.
So QUBE is effectively treating the brokers as their primary client in all this.
100%. Look, in Dubai, the broker is the ultimate gatekeeper.
Because they have the client lists.
Exactly. If the broker doesn't believe the developer will actually deliver on their promises, they will not burn their valuable client list trying to sell it.
That makes so much sense. By providing high-fidelity details and creating this masterclass sales environment, QUBE is basically arming the brokers to go out and fight their battles for them.
It's brilliant. If the brokers truly believe the generational wealth story, they are the ones who will sell that story to the end buyer.
That's a really interesting angle. We usually think of all this marketing as targeting us directly, the end users.
But really, they have to win the war for the brokers' hearts and minds first.
And the sources also emphasize that QUBE views sales as the start of a long-term relationship.
Right. Not just a one-off transaction.
Which is how you build a brand that actually survives more than one market cycle.
Exactly. Consistency is everything.
Speaking of surviving and long-term thinking, there's one more major trend in the documents we really need to unpack today.
Okay, let's hear it.
Holistic living.
Ah, yes. The big wellness pivot.
The headline in the sources is literally how QUBE Development is integrating holistic living into UAE's developments.
They talk about creating comprehensive wellness ecosystems, right?
Yes, comprehensive wellness ecosystems. And now I have to ask you to be honest here.
Sure.
Is this just them putting a nice filtered water tap in the gym and calling it a day?
It is so easy to be cynical about wellness in real estate right now because it has been vastly overused as a buzzword.
It's everywhere.
But if we connect this specific wellness pushback to their core theme of generational wealth, it actually makes hard, measurable financial sense.
Okay, explain that. How does a wellness ecosystem actually protect my investment?
It all comes down to obsolescence.
Obsolescence.
Yes. Think about it. A building built today with 2025 standards of air quality, optimized community spacing, lots of natural light, and sustainable architecture.
Okay.
That building is going to age so much better than just a standard concrete box.
So it's essentially about future-proofing the asset.
Exactly. The modern resident, as the sources specifically call them, is becoming incredibly discerning.
People are definitely paying more attention to their environment post-pandemic.
They know that where they live directly affects their physical and mental health.
Right.
So if you want your real estate asset to still hold premium value in 2035 or 2040, it fundamentally needs to support a healthy lifestyle.
Because if it doesn't, nobody will want to rent it or buy it later.
Exactly. If it doesn't adapt, it becomes a dinosaur in the market.
So wellness in this context isn't just a nice amenity to have, it's an active retention tool.
It is a pure asset preservation strategy. A building that people actually feel good living in is a building that stays fully occupied.
And high occupancy drives long-term value.
Always. You can't possibly have generational wealth if your building is sitting empty because it feels stale and unhealthy to live in.
That is a really solid point. It honestly ties this entire strategy back together, doesn't it?
It really does.
I mean, you look at the 7.6 billion dirham investment, you look at the built to endure slogan.
The heavy 45555 payment plans filtering for serious investors.
Right, and then the wellness angle future-proofing the buildings. It's all strategically designed to say one thing.
Which is?
This isn't a flip, this is a fortress.
That is a fantastic way to put it. This is a fortress. In a market that is so often criticized for being too fast, too shiny, and too temporary.
QUBE is trying to position itself as the grown-up in the room.
Exactly. They are betting billions that there is a massive untapped appetite for actual stability.
So let's wrap this deep dive up for you listening. We have a new player here with a massive wallet and a very, very specific strategy.
Every calculated strategy.
They're targeting high-value liquid areas like Business Bay with ELIRE.
And at the same time, hitting community hubs like Studio City with Arisha.
Right. They're actively tweaking their payment plans from 4555 to 3565 to filter for the exact right kind of buyer for each project.
And they are wrapping all of this in a very compelling narrative of legacy and endurance.
It is a totally calculated move to stand out in the middle of this bullish wave.
Instead of shouting buy now like everyone else, they are essentially whispering buy forever.
Buy forever, which is an incredibly powerful psychological hook for an investor.
It is.
But having said all that, it does leave me with a question. And I know you always have one brewing at the end of these deep dives.
I definitely do. And it actually goes right back to the shift in language we discussed at the very start of the show.
Go on.
Well, if every major developer starts doing this,
Okay.
if every single apartment suddenly becomes a legacy asset and a foundation for wealth and a highly structured financial instrument,
Right.
what actually happens to the simple idea of a home just being a home?
Wow, that is the big question, isn't it?
We are seeing the extreme financialization of the very roof over our heads.
Because if QUBE and others succeed with this exact messaging, we might be reaching a point where housing is no longer viewed as a utility at all.
It becomes permanently solidified as a pure financial instrument, first and foremost.
Does it totally change how we relate to our neighbors then?
Does genuine living just become another asset class in a diversified portfolio?
Honey, how is the genuine living performing this quarter?
Exactly. It's a very thin line. When does the investment part completely overshadow the living part?
That is definitely something for you to chew on next time you see a massive billboard for a new property launch.
Is it a home or is it just a bank account with nice windows?
Think about what genuine living actually means to you personally.
A lot to consider.
That is it for our deep dive into QUBE development today. Thanks so much for exploring this with us.
Catch you next time.